I'm Sori.
And I am Vincent, and we are
We're here to do an alliance.
people who listen to music. I can't hear a word
Well,
at all. This thing doesn't look plugged in.
a kind of alliance. I can hear myself. Maybe you're,
Hello, Clarice.
still nothing for you?
Yeah, I can't hear myself.
I can hear myself.
Okay, well, let's see.
So,
Mike Franco in the house.
what's up?
Did you send me their thingamajiggy?
Yep.
Too early, says Jesse Days. Yeah, we were a little bit late, but when we first started doing live streams, that's how it worked.
No, I think he's saying it's too early because we usually start so late. Today we're starting at 7.
Like when we started doing live streams back in the day, the first live streams were completely.
Oh. They were completely what?
They were very late. I don't know if you remember. We used to do them 1, 2 o'clock.
Yep.
That's when we would start.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and these poor people had to deal.
That must have been when we were young. All right, here we are. We're gonna do.
Shout out to Paddy Days. Paddy Days. Hope you're having a good day.
Shout out to Paddy.
Days. Hope you're having a good day.
You've never heard that one
my
before.
Mic?
I mean, I hear you.
Let me see here.
Oh, look at that.
That would explain it. No, that wouldn't explain it. That's still. Why is it?
I don't know. Unplug it and plug it back in. That's all I do.
Work done quicker. I bet it does.
Hello.
Yeah, that's yours.
Yep. All right, you guys. How are you doing today?
Okay, I'm in.
Excellent.
I'm in. Who are the individuals in this stream? Who are we waiting for?
Well, I mean, it's multiple alliances, so
Sure.
I'm just gonna add this thumbnail here.
Went to late this morning and I have no regrets. Damn, Franco. My bad, buddy.
He did what?
He went to work late. We had a pretty, we had a 4-hour stream that started at 10 o'clock. So
Oh boy.
you do the math, ladies and gents.
Echo. Have we an echo? Oh, that thing. Dang it. Why does that thing have to keep being readjusted? Very annoying.
Well, did you turn it off when it got unplugged?
No. I mean, if it did, I don't know anything about it. Okay, I gotta unplug this. Yep, there it is back on auto. Disable.
Stand by, fellas. Stand by indeed.
Ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I just crashed into your chair.
Let us know if it's still echoey, guy.
All right.
We could also be doing MacBook Pro speakers. Is that? Let me see.
Well, that one was definitely on, the one I just checked, so. Yep, Cult of Luna.
Echo's gone.
Excellent. Yep. Wow. I'm so glad we finally figured that out. Well, you finally figured it out.
Yeah. All the posers were like, yeah, the mics are too close to each other. The mics are too close to each other. No, you dumb butts. Nothing to do with it.
Right.
Nothing. Okay, so who are the, who we looking for here? Delaney in the house. What's good, Delaney? Good to see you, boss lady. Good to see you, boss lady. Talk to the people. I gotta do some downloads here.
Look.
What's up, Larry?
You want to just let it? I mean, it's so. What do you want to do?
We gotta talk about it later.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, take a drink and return. That's fine.
All right. I'm coming. I'm coming to the stream now.
You've never heard of Cult of Luna?
I'm just gonna... Burp, burp.
Who's your POC for that band?
I will check.
What's up, Slipknot 2K Sean? What's good, buddy?
Right here. You have his number, too.
Okay. When's the next hip-hop stream? I don't want to miss it. I think the next hip-hop stream is going to be a 3-song one. I'll hit you up, Jesse, before we do it to make sure. How's that? What's up, Jerry? Good to see you, buddy. Or Gary. So you gotta tell me who we're waiting for. Are we waiting for Archero? Who are we waiting for, boss?
Oh, here, look. This is what he said right here. Read that. We've got Epic Underground, A99, so do what you will. Anarchy 99, Epic Underground, and True Cult.
That was them. Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the name of their alliance again?
And also we have Extreme Underground. What do you mean?
The art.
Oh, Music in the Arts. You mean their stream. Music in the Arts is what this one's called. I've got a little opening thing to read when we're ready. And in the meantime, I'm going to chill with you, beautiful people. We had an eventful day. We took the kids to the movies. They enjoyed that.
Yes, the movies.
Yeah, did you notice how good they were at, like, thanking us this time?
Yeah. Well, Johan leads the way.
Yeah.
Johan leads
Well,
the way.
we were bringing them to the movies semi-regularly.
Yeah.
And remember they were, like, complaining about
weekly.
it? Yeah.
Almost weekly they were complaining about it because they got tired.
The movies.
Yeah. Oh, more mana.
Yeah, more mana. And then COVID struck the world, and we haven't gone in quite some time, so they were very appreciative. Yeah, I know, Tasco.
What? What did Tasco say?
It's all good. Not like an Echo ever ruined any important videos.
Yeah. I probably am never going to release that video.
I don't know why. You should just give it to people. You talking about it for
horrible.
so...
It's so horrible.
No, the conversation is good.
It was a decent conversation.
It was a good conversation. At
Yeah,
least,
at
minimum, put that up on Patreon. If you don't want to put it out there for everybody, let the patrons have it.
Yeah.
Look at you. Yeah. Ian, what's up? Oh, Ian, are you? I was supposed to shoot another one today, a little cooking video with him, but
You had a cooking video with Ian?
No. I'm gonna do a cooking. He said he's enjoying the Fuji videos.
Oh, the fudge. Oh,
yeah.
The fudge.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do a cooking video with him next time, but we had a busy day, so I wasn't able to do it. Although I did bring him out into the snow, which I'll probably post that video later. He was like confused about it at first, and then I was like, shoot, I should have been recording from the very beginning. So I had him go back inside. So he was a little bit different. Like when he first got out there, he was just looking at it like, what the frig is this? And it's cute because he was telling me that it was ice because I told him he could eat it. It was very cute.
Good to see you. Yeah, we're doing good, bro.
Man, Tosco, I bet. Circle
good.
with me. I don't even know if I can wait for somebody to request it, or if I'm just gonna take a peek at it on my
Spirit
own.
box?
Yeah.
Interesting.
BC. It was meant in the voice of Chief from South Park. Oh, I was never allowed to watch that, so I don't have any clue what that would be.
There's a guy named Chief on South Park?
I guess.
I wasn't not allowed to watch South Park. I just never did.
Oh my gosh. I remember when they were talking about South Park in my neighborhood. They were like, there's this show and they're mocking Jesus.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, I guess they had some like Jesus character and I don't know what happened, but that's one of those things that the longer I'm with you, the more I question friggin' everything.
What do you mean?
Well, you know, like, there's so many things that people are like, that is so bad. That, like, a very controversial one was that, what was it? Cuties or something like that it was called. It was that,
yeah.
But it had, like, if you watched it start to finish, I mean, I agree that some of it was a little over the top, but I thought that it had a really...
We both agreed some of it was...
Right.
Well, I don't know about over the top as much as unnecessary.
Angles. Yeah. I don't think they needed to take the angles.
I felt like it was unnecessary. Some of the things were unnecessary.
Yeah.
But I think overall...
But the overall message of it was very important. Very important.
Well, at least for our girls, I mean, that's the very instructive movie.
Right.
To show them.
And in the end, the ending, the conclusion that the girl herself came to was important. So, so there's just stuff like that. So now I'm like, okay, well, what is this South Park thing? Like, I'm going to look it up later, and I'm going to look to see if I actually think that it's...
that bad?
Yeah. Were they actually mocking Jesus, or was it... Was it a criticism of the church?
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's both. I mean, I don't think those things are mutually exclusive.
Well, I thought people were going to die.
Day, unbelievers are unbelievers.
Jesus' best moments. It's a 6-minute video.
Yeah.
Jesus versus Satan, full fight. Look at how scrawny this Jesus is and that big giant Satan.
Yeah, like, that's not fun to me.
It's so ridiculous how people, but this is what people think. Well, actually, most people think it's like a battle of like evenness, not like, there's not even any, he knocks him out with one punch. It looks like Jesus knocks him out in one punch.
Who, the devil?
Yep.
Yeah, I bet. Oh, that's good.
It looks like that.
That's one.
Oh yeah, right here. Satan takes a dive, making Jesus the undisputed spiritual winner, causing the whole town to lose their money to the Dark Prince. Because they all voted against Jesus, I guess.
They all bet on the devil.
Yep. That's what you get.
The devil against Jesus.
That's what you get. The whole town lost their money.
You dummies. I don't know what the hell.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, with that, I mean, that's really probably not what Jesus looked like. He's very white.
It's still pretty blasphemous. I mean, it's not something that I would watch and enjoy.
Yeah, I could. Yeah.
That's, you know what I'm saying? So, like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
I understand why Christians would be upset at South Park. The Scientologists were upset at South Park. So...
They were?
Yeah.
See, no one can predict how you're going to react to something.
Well...
It's very difficult to predict.
I'm pretty predictable when it comes to blasphemy. My thing about blasphemy is that I'm more concerned for the person doing it than Jesus. I mean, Jesus can handle his own business. But... it's a thing to fall into the hands of the living God. Yeah,
but I could see you saying, here are these people, maybe they're not religious, it's just what they perceive religion to be. Oh, they put Jesus as the winner. You know what I mean? Like, I could see you finding some real, I don't know, golden moments in it.
Yeah, it just depends on what's going on. I'm not gonna... our folks, we originated cancel culture. I mean, we really did. And now that the gun is placed at them, now they got a serious problem with it. Mm-hmm. But when it was placed on other people, there was no issue. So it's like, I don't know, bro. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, like, I'm not really a fan of blasphemy at all.
I'm not a fan of blasphemy. Of course you shouldn't be a fan of blasphemy.
Yeah, it's,
You know what I think happens to me? Because everything was like blasphemous and everything was a giant big deal. And then, so now sometimes I think maybe I swung the opposite way. I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that, as BC said, is that they actually said what Scientologists actually believe, because they went after the Xenu thing, which is...
Oh, yeah.
Xenu, shout out to the homie, but he's pretty low-hanging fruit, if you get my meaning. Shout out to New Zealand. Do we have any of the folks in here?
I'm sure they're in here. I know that Archero couldn't make it because he's playing in a...
Yeah, so they mock Jesus, Islam, yada, yada, yada.
I heard they really mocked Islam. I remember them people saying they've been mocking the Christians, they're mocking Islam. Someone's going to end up dead.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. It's like the tolerance level for mocking Islam is very low in the Western world. Mm-hmm. Because of Charlie Hebdo stuff. People ain't trying to die. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So we're not gonna go and kill you and behead you because you make fun of Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Like, but to me, it's like, okay, all right, okay, we'll see. We gonna see. We gonna see. Where are these people, bro?
Babe, they're already here.
Oh, they're here. Okay, well, you should have told me that before. All right, there, listener. We're getting into right to song numero uno. It is from the band. I think it's a Cult of Luna.
Cult of Luna.
Cult of Luna.
Okay. When should I read their intro? Because it's like a lot of reading if we read their intro and the intro to the song back to back. Okay. So you want to do the intro now and then
do
we.
The intro now. For sure.
Okay.
For sure.
All right. Tonight's stream is from the first ever collaboration between 4 alliances. The Epic Underground, Extreme Underground, Anarchy 99, and the True Cult join forces for the theme of music in the arts. Members of the alliances had to submit songs which were inspired by works of literature, movies, TV, games, and other fine arts. We had over 100 song submissions initially. From those, we created a 64-song tournament bracket. In each round of the tournament, songs were paired and voted on by all members, with the winning song to advance to the next round. This process continued for several weeks until we finally narrowed down the field to the 4 top songs, one representing each of the alliances. For each of the winners you will hear tonight, we have provided some background context of the books and movies which inspired these songs. On behalf of the EU, the XU, A99, and the Cults, we hope you all enjoy music in the arts.
Enjoy music in the arts. That's a pretty decent intro. I can't lie.
That's our
chair.
Chero.
Listen, yeah, it's obviously our Chero. Our Chero is always scared away. Having said that, dear listener, we shall return.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. The child shall lead them.
Yes, here we are. We are starting the stream for music in the arts, as you see up there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This song is Cult of Luna 1, the weapon Metropolis. This was XU's winner of the Cross Alliance Medal in the Arts tournament. This song is inspired by the 1927 movie Metropolis. Sometime in the future, the city of Metropolis is home to a utopian society where its wealthy residents live a carefree life. One of those is Fredersen. One day, he spots a beautiful woman with a group of children. She and the children quickly disappear, trying to... What?
I just added some dramatic effect.
Trying to follow her, he is horrified to find an underground world of workers who apparently run the machinery that keeps the utopian world above ground functioning. One of the few people above ground who knows about the world below is Frieder's father, John Fredersen, who is the founder and master of Metropolis. Freder learns that the woman is called Maria, who espouses the need to join the hands of the workers to the head, those in power above, by a mediator who will act as the heart. Freder wants to help the plight of the workers in their struggle for a better life, but when John learns of what Maria is advocating and that Freder has joined their cause with the assistance of an old colleague, an inventor called Rotwang, who turns out to be but their nemesis, goes to works toward quashing a proposed uprising. With Maria at the center of their plan, John, unaware that Rotwang has his own agenda, makes plans that include shutting down the machines, with the prospect of unleashing total anarchy both above and below ground. So here we go.
So
the weapon.
That's the backdrop to this song.
Right. That's the movie that inspired this song.
The weapon.
The weapon. Yep.
Should be interesting. Should be an interesting listen. Having said that, dear listener, the moment has arrived. This is the Cult of Luna, the weapon. Hopefully, was this a lyric video? Do you know?
I don't know.
We shall see. If not, I'll find you
It shouldn't be an
list.
official, so we're good. I hear nothing.
Maybe that's just the build-up.
Ooh, she's them.
I was right. Patience, grasshopper.
Startled me.
Sounds like a heartbeat.
I wonder what that says.
Arbiter.
I've got...
Rise!
Okay, so that film, it looks like they made, obviously it was a movie, and then you see the woman with the kids and all that, and the kids are underground working.
I didn't know the movie was that old. I did not. That looked like a friggin' black and white.
Yeah, it was.
Like, I mean, when I say no,
1927.
when I say black and white, I mean like, no sound. When the video was like too fast.
Yeah.
Remember when that
Yeah.
There used to be a restaurant called The Ground Round, and you could go in and watch silent videos. Like, while you were waiting for your food, the kids could go sit in like this little theater area, and it played silent films, and you could eat popcorn. So I was very familiar with those fast-moving characters in the black and white.
He spots a beautiful woman with a group of children. She and the children quickly disappear. That's what you're seeing.
Yeah.
Trying to follow her, he's horrified to find an underground world of workers who apparently run the machinery that keeps the utopian world above ground functioning.
Man, that was sad when they were all walking in there. Because I've seen visuals like that before, but I didn't really understand what was happening, like why the people were moving so slow. But when you've been traumatized, and these people were they were just being used as workers, they were not allowed to be human. And when you make someone just to be a machine, it like, you can only function so long in that environment and keeping your mind afloat. And so people will kind of like disassociate, and then they just become drones almost. And that's what they were doing. It was like a survival. You just.
Yeah, I'm having a couple offline discussions with my beautiful atheist friends on, and one of the topics is slavery. It's very, very fascinating because obviously there are different forms of slavery.
Right.
And so we have a specific kind of slavery that we experienced in the modern Western world that no, my mic isn't off unless I muted it over here, which is very possible. No, it's
no, you don't. Well, you don't have the lines coming through yours. Does that mean anything?
No, that's it's doing the Mac microphone. Let's see. This one. How about that? Yeah.
That's better. Okay.
So you're stereo 1, I'm stereo 2. Okay. I think we're in good shape.
Thanks for the heads up.
Good catch. Yeah, I it's one of the things where when I started reading Marx, where you really get this kind of, I don't know if it's disillusionment as much as it is a reality check about the fact that America has never been able to maintain its status as an economic powerhouse without some form of slave labor.
Right. Yeah.
And so there are numerous historically speaking. So in the Roman Empire, it was criminals. And then you had defeated men in war who resisted, Roman incursions. That those people would be sold as slaves, and then their family and all that. Of course, in the Roman system, you could manumit yourself. Manumission means you could free yourself.
Yeah.
And then
how? By doing that gladiator stuff?
Well, that was just one of them. The gladiatorial way was one of them. It was kind of a shortcut, but obviously it had it had downfall, which is you could also die.
Right.
But no, if you
I always feel like if you were in that situation, you'd survive and come back to me. What, babe? Why are you laughing?
Well, Kanye said something pretty controversial where he said slavery was a choice, and he's right about that.
Oh yeah,
he's right about that.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long I would have lasted necessarily. I mean,
yeah.
But which goes to a point. I was talking to one of my buddies. He's like, "Oh, the Bible says slaves be obedient to your masters," and it's like, yeah. What do you think would have happened if they weren't? Mm-hmm. The master, you had pater familia. Pater familia basically meant that the father was you want to talk about patriarchy. The man could decide whether you lived or died.
Yeah. Yeah.
The man could tell his wife, have the kid and then expose him, which basically means leave him out there into the wilderness or the town square to be, to die by the elements or animals, much less a slave. So, I asked my buddy, I said, what do you want Paul to tell? What do you want Paul to tell us? Like, don't be obedient to your master.
Yeah, I know.
So that he can attack you,
right,
and abuse you, so that you can be tempted to join one of the slave revolts that was happening. Mm-hmm. Spartacan slave revolts are not in line with Jesus' Sermon on the Mount in relationship to nonviolence.
Nope, they're not.
Right? And so if you don't tell them that, then you're going to put them in a position where they will either have to die or kill. The means by which Christianity overcame slavery in the ancient world was by actually following the Sermon on the Mount.
Right.
And following the ramifications of the Sermon on the Mount
And
in the context of their slavery. And so by the end of the first century, it's widely noted that Christianity was most popular among slaves and soldiers.
Yep.
And it was a sort of very brilliant attack strategy where you jujitsu the entire system from the inside out, right? Like,
yep.
But
it's so difficult to be in that place and do that, like to go the extra mile or to
right.
obey your masters. Like,
right.
That's so contrary to the ego.
Yeah.
That holy shit, that's a very, very difficult ask. I think, when we, like in this day and age, remember that time there was, we worked with a group of other people that we would help, like we were working downtown in our area and we just hang out with the people and just help people out, just really just get to know people. And, wherever we could be of use, we made ourselves useful. Yeah. And, some without going into all the details of it, a fight broke out between two groups of people and, X amount of us were shooed away so we could protect the children and everyone else. And then some people went down. Of course, Vinny was one of the people that went down to talk to the two groups. And because I grew up in a Christian home, I felt like the Bible wasn't necessarily useful, but that it was necessary because it was the words of God and we have to follow what God says because he says we have to.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what in the world are they going to tell these people? And then you went to the Sermon on the Mount. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I said Jesus gave you authority over these people because he was basically the leader of the gang.
Yeah.
And I said, these people are going to get hurt when you're not around. It's going to be your fault. So you have to follow what Jesus says. You have to turn the other cheek. Because my philosophy is Jesus is Lord of all. He's not just Lord of Christians. He's
right.
He's the king of all the rules of the earth.
Right.
So I'm gonna come with him with that belief. And it was funny because his friend like, shut up, preacher. Nobody wants to hear that. But the guy actually listened to what I had to say.
Well, yeah, but see, that was the thing. And that's what I love so much about that story was that it was so practical. And because I had that conversation with people, about turning the other cheek. And it never went well. People always hated that verse whenever it was spoken about.
Well, you're not around street dudes.
No, when I was working, there was this kid, he was like, no, he wasn't a street dude. He was like an atheist, and he was, to me, he seemed more scientific than anything, and he was very, very offended by that.
But that's because to him, it's just an idea. That's like I said yesterday about the problem of evil. You cannot really get the problem of evil answer until you experience it with God. Mm-hmm. So this dude was a gangster. He'd experienced violence, and he understood the cycle of violence.
Exactly.
Jesus was talking to people who were at the verge of getting extremely bloody with the Roman authority because they had enough of it.
Well,
because it was also a form of slavery. Their entire country was enslaved to these exorbitant taxes. And so they were ready to go.
And you could get crucified. You could just randomly get picked out of the crowd and get crucified.
They were ready to get bloody. So when Jesus says turn the other cheek to stop the cycle of violence and to walk the extra mile with the Roman soldier, that is it's not a theoretical idea. But when you look here at this, I mean, obviously they're when I read Marx and you're talking about these little kids, which I'm assuming that this movie was inspired by Marx to some degree, because one of the things that Marx did to shame American capitalism was he was talking about how you have these little 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old breaker boys down there in the mines, destroying their lungs at such an early, before the lungs have even developed. Oh. And then, post-industrial revolution, you had these girls who were working naked beside grown men because their frilly little clothes would get caught in these conveyor belts and they'd get skinned alive. I mean, just ridiculous working conditions that eventually shamed America into child labor laws. You see what I'm saying? And so
yep.
And that's why I said there are multiple forms of slavery. The average American dies with $20,000 of debt. Mm-hmm. like that's slavery.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's slavery. You can never, the capital that you're working for, another person can come just take. And
And in the way that the system is set up, like, even if you had your money throughout your life, in the end, you end up in a nursing home and they take it all from you. Every bit of it. So you pass on nothing to your children but debt.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's I couldn't believe it, but yeah, Forbes is like the average American dies at $20,000 in debt.
Yeah. My father said his father, so my grandfather, worked in a shoe shop, and he worked really, really hard. He also suffered with anxiety, and so he was never going to move from his job. So that's where he got comfortable, so he was going to stay there. And he asked for a raise because he had he had 3 kids. They were living in an apartment. They needed a raise, and they gave him like a penny and a half raise or something. It was no more than 2 cents raise per hour, which was just insulting. And
this is while you were alive, or no?
Ooh, I don't think
but
so.
That's the same thing they did to the Breaker Boys. They unionized and they fought, and they only gave him like a half a penny of a raise.
Yeah, he worked and worked and worked and worked because he wanted to make sure that his wife, my grandmother, my meme, was set to go. And he did. He worked, and she lived very comfortably throughout her life. But then, of course, at the end, she landed in a nursing home. They took all her money. There was nothing she could pass to her children. The only thing she had was debt. She didn't even know how far in debt she was. And I remember my father saying that his dad, my grandfather, would be so heartbroken to know that all of that struggle was for nothing. Because he worked.
Yeah, these bankers.
He died at work. That's where he was when he died.
That's the worst thing to me, man.
Had a heart attack.
Like, I like these people dying at work. It's the same thing, homeboy was getting married, so he started rationing his insulin.
Yep.
In the greatest country in the world.
Yep.
And his fiance finds him dead at work. He died at work. He was doing overtime and rationing his insulin because he wanted to give her something of a wedding ceremony. And his girl finds him dead at work. And I know he's not a child. He's 28. And then, of course, the response from our crew is, well, why didn't he find a better job? You know what I'm saying? So, like, our system, it's this crazy thing. Like, you guys know, like, it depends on what day you catch us. We're going to piss off left-wingers or right-wingers. But this mythology that our economy functions on a meritocracy is insane.
Yeah. Yep.
It's insane. And all of us are stained by it. All of us, including us. Like, our village supports kids overseas and stuff, but I'm sure we're still patronizing some horrible, company that is taking advantage of child labor. And then, of course, they respond by saying, "Well, listen, if it's a sweatshop is horrible, but that's a good job for that kid. That's bread for that kid."
Yep.
And that's how they justify it. And it's like,
yep.
Or we could stop bombing the shit out of countries that are no threat to us.
Yeah.
And maybe we could set up programs where we have international trade at fair rates so that a 7-year-old doesn't have to work himself to death in a sweatshop to make your Nikes. We could do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like this, it's above ground. There's this utopia of America and we're the richest country ever and we're the meritocracy. And is it true that you can come from this, to this country with nothing but a shirt on your back, and then 2 generations, 3 generations, you can end up a millionaire? Absolutely. That is true. But the economics of what keeps that system afloat has always necessitated a slave class, whether it's the original, Native American and Afro-Asiatic peoples.
Yep.
And then it went from, okay, we can't do that anymore, so let's create all these, let's do the 13th Amendment, which literally says, forced servitude is illegal unless you're incarcerated. So then, right after that, we have these slave patrols and the police that then are designed to mass incarcerate black dudes so that we could once again institute slavery.
And then you have Kamala Harris not letting people out that should be out because of what the profits.
Kamala literally would not let people out of prison when the Supreme Court of her state was saying, "Come on, let these people go," and she was saying, "No, it's going to hurt the bottom line. It's going to hurt the bottom line because we have to have these people fight fires." I mean, slavery is one thing, but now these people got to risk their lives.
Yep. Oh my God.
And she doesn't want to let them go because it's cheap labor.
And how many of those people were put into jail on false pretenses.
Or even real pretenses of victimless crimes like selling weed or some crazy shit like that.
Having a non-weighable amount of whatever.
Yeah. And so it's like, wow, bro.
Yep.
And then you watch that documentary 13th, it's like, holy shit. Like, and then you watch what happened in the Industrial Revolution, where you had little white children down in the freaking bellows of the earth. And then you had these guys that were trying to unionize, and they would go to church. We did this one time. It was a Red Blood Black Soot was the name of the record we reviewed. And you would have these guys, and the priest, while they're at church, knew who the unionizers were, and would attack the unionizers in the sermon and literally put their hands on them.
Yep.
At church.
That's unbelievable. You remember that?
So that we could feed this machine, because they were the priest was obviously getting a cut. It was just complete and total corruption. There's never been a time in this country where slave labor was not upholding the economy.
Yep. Remember there
Not
was that
once.
guy, he
Sorry,
was
go ahead.
talking about, I'm pretty sure he was working in the coal mines, and he was saying how when they were putting the coal down the chute, sometimes they would come by and hit them with shovels and stuff. And when he was retelling the story, you could tell that it really hadn't occurred to him that they were being abused down there, because he was just saying it as like he was telling a story. And then he paused for a second, and then he said, well, they abused us, really. And it looked like he hadn't really thought that through until that moment. And now that he's saying it in this year, because, we've become we've become more calloused in areas and less calloused in other areas. And where people are more sensitive now to like abuse or, like the topic of racism and stuff. People are more
certain
groups are more sensitive to it.
Right now, I'll tell you, in the evangelical church is experiencing a major upheaval because of their consistent enablement of abusers. And now the evangelical world is completely blowing up and exploding right now, because all that shit is coming out the woodwork, and a lot of it has to do with social media. Now these people can safely do this shit without the direct consequences that they would have to face otherwise. So But it's really insidious when you get religion involved in it, and that's obviously not a part of it. But we're religious people, and so we've seen our own people do this.
Yeah,
I mean, a modern pastor's not going to go and smack you and all the rest of it for trying to unionize, but they will tell you that you're not. I've heard it over and over again when people were trying to vote for Bernie Sanders and people were questioning their Christianity. Like Lecrae was like, "Yo, I'm not really down with this with Trump economics or whatever." And say what you want, but he was like, "Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna." And people were literally saying, "You're not a Christian." You can literally hold religion over a person's head, so that you can insane. And thank God Lecrae's a strong brother, so he laughed it off. But you got other people that are watching these very powerful pastors say, if you don't vote for this capitalist guy, you are not a Christian. Like, it's mind-boggling. It's unbelievable to me. But yeah, like this is crazy.
So that's so crazy on so many levels. Because you're taking away from the gospel, you're taking away from what the scripture says, and you're making it about something else entirely.
Yeah, but the thing is, they are benefiting from that system.
Oh my gosh,
they're benefiting from that system.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the
crazy
thing. You have to. It's important, I think, to stop and question anything that you benefit from. But I think it's very difficult to do because you benefit from it, so it goes unquestioned. When you're on the receiving end of the abuse, then you say, this is messed up. This shouldn't be like that.
Yeah, correct.
But when you're the one that's doling it out, it's very difficult, I think, to see.
With poison blood, the demon speaks. See how the wolves devour the weak.
Yeah.
And, in the song lyrically, it talks about beating yourself into submission. And, me and the boys got done Animal Farm. We shot a video about it on the Middle America side. And what was interesting was the horse.
Yeah.
He was commended because he was such a hard laborer.
Yep.
But then when he was no longer useful to them, they got rid of the homie and turned him into glue, basically. And it's like, that's on the communist side, and Solzhenitsyn documented that. That's how a lot of workers were treated by communists, which is massively ironic. And that was the entire point of Animal Farm is the iron. But at the same time, it was a reaction to millions of people being treated like that horse in capitalism. And we saw that during when the pandemic really hit fever pitch and we didn't know what was going on. There was no vaccine. It was like, oh, the workers are heroes. A hero works here and essential worker and all this nonsense. Man, they weren't getting hazard pay.
Nope.
And
give them a little title.
Yeah, it was this ridiculous, like,
you're not in grade school.
Yeah, that guy on Amazon where, like, a couple people had, and again, this is prior to the vaccination.
Oh, that was
terrible. A couple people had COVID, and so he was a manager, so he told his director, we're going to shut the place down, right, or we're going to let people know. They wouldn't tell people, because it's about the bottom line, man.
Yep.
And so fuck those people if they get sick.
Yep.
If Jeff Bezos gets sick, he's got A1 Cadillac healthcare, right? He's already taken probably 50 supplements a day. He's probably going to live till he's 500. You know what I'm saying? Like, but so the system is so crazy. And then the other thing about America, when it talks about poison blood, I'm assuming that those are the bad guys with, there's something wrong with them internally. But, one of the ironies of this whole thing is the supposed Protestant work ethic where you show up to work sick and you get commended because you're showing up to work sick, and that shows your work ethic. Literally probably killed 100,000 of us. Because that's how a virus like COVID can spread to pandemic levels overnight. Because people are just so used to, because you get a sick day in America, that's your vacation time. Trust me, I've been a manager in America. Yeah, you can call out sick. That's your vacation time. So that 40 hours, which is 5 days that you had a trip planned to Orlando with your family, you got to eat 8 of those in order to get paid. So what's the person going to do? They're going to come to work sick. So it's just this really massively we were talking about abortion yesterday, and it's obviously on the other side. Most people in the channel are, but he was talking about maternity leave, paternity leave, those types of things. And we were listening to the arguments in the Supreme Court with the abortion thing, which obviously we're 100% against it, but they're saying things like, oh, you have maternity leave now and all. No, they don't. We don't have a federally mandated maternity leave. What the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about? I've worked with these women. I work with them, and you know how I am. I try to celebrate the hell out of life. And they're happy, and most of the time they want the baby, but they know what's about to go down, which is a completely other set of inhuman traits, like the bond between mother and child that you need in the, formative, first 18 months. Any pediatrician will tell you, like, that's severed. And then the kid has to get put into daycare, and God bless the daycare worker, but that's not their mother. You're not going to love that kid like you love your own flesh and blood. Like, it's just all of these inhuman practices normalized. And then when a girl says, okay, I have to choose that or an abortion, the girl gets an abortion, and we're going to call her crazy and say she needs the fucking death penalty? No, we need the death penalty. If somebody's got to die for that shit, it should be us, not her. Because, and I'm specifically talking about the church, because we're always against social programs. Always. Anything to help the worker, we're against. It's mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. Unbelievable. But yeah, like,
honestly, what's happened, I think, with all the different movements that have led us up to this moment now, I think that, like, moms have to suffer a lot of, I want to say traumas, but I don't know if that sounds so too extreme, but from having to go back to work,
I think that's traumatic.
Having to put your kid in school, to having to have somebody else care for them. Like, I even feel like sad when I'm working on my computer and my, Zoe is watching the babies. I'm in the same room as them. But I'm not able, I've got to get my work done. We're running a couple businesses, so I've got stuff I have to do, and I want to be doing all the stuff with them. I just can't even imagine, like, how much it would feel like it was tearing your heart out to birth this child, and then they have to get back to work, some of them right away, and some of them it's like, what, 6 weeks later, 8 weeks later? Well, it doesn't matter if it's 8 weeks or 14 weeks. having to leave your baby at the beginning, how does that not, like, it has to be, yeah.
At 14 weeks, every woman in this country would be doing triple backflip handstands if they could get 14 weeks.
But it doesn't happen, yeah.
No way. I never used to take vacations when I was a worker, because we were having kids consistently, and so I would just take my vacation as paternity leave.
Yeah.
And that's it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I had to leave Dorian behind to go to work, and I cried all the way from starting the car to I had to collect myself, before I walked in the building. But it was so hard for me to do that.
Yeah.
And the only thing I could comfort myself with was like, well, I mean, look, man, you're a man. This is your role. You got to put bread on the table. And so I had to leave him. But holy shit, a mom having to do that after 2 weeks?
No,
it's inhuman.
Literally, this child has been inseparable from you for 9 months.
100%.
And then you have to,
And and then Christians are cool with that. We're fine with that. It's unbelievable. But then the woman is a whore and all this other horrible shit if she chooses to abort the child. It's like, and we're not going to take any accountability whatsoever for feeding these wolves. We've literally fed these capitalist wolves the bodies of these babies. I'm sorry, it's a fact. We put those little fucking kids in a conveyor belt right into the arms of the Sofer clan. Sorry, we have. If you are a Christian and you support this evil, inhumane system of perpetual indentured servitude that is literally less gracious in the Old Testament and less gracious in the Roman system, if you support that, you should shut your fucking mouth when it comes to abortion. I'm sorry, but Jesus talked about that. He says sins are bound to happen, but woe to whom through whom they come.
Right.
And Jesus explicitly talks about judging a person who's affected by a system with a less harsh judgment than the person who is part and parcel in perpetuating that system. Mm-hmm. That's just a fact. Mm-hmm. So, again, these are songs that should be... I'm going to make a playlist for our channel that says songs that should be on Christian radio.
Yeah.
Because this shit, we need to hear this shit. And you notice the last line of the lyrics, nobody's going to hold us to account.
Nope.
Nobody's going to touch us. I think Jimmy Dore was the only one that talked about the massive wealth transfer that happened because of these emergency COVID legislations, where these guys literally, Jeff Bezos almost doubled his revenue during COVID and all the rest of it because of these government handouts that once again went to the top most of the time, and then people at the bottom got little scraps.
It's not unbelievable.
Jimmy Dore was the only one really pounding his fist on the table, mega emotional about this.
Yeah.
And we're not going to understand the people are talking, oh, look at all this inflation, yada, 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 because somebody got $1,000 check a month from the government. That's not why we have inflation, y'all. That's not what happened. But it's so convenient, and I'm saying Christians, we keep putting forth this ridiculous propaganda it's unbelievable.
Jeez.
Look at poor Ian. You guys only get 14 weeks maternity leave? No! They don't get any federally mandated maternity leave.
No.
It's not federally mandated.
And a lot of times when I hear women having it, it's between 4 and 8 weeks. And some of it's not even paid. It's just you won't get in trouble for taking this time off.
Yeah, that's the thing is you won't get paid, but we won't fire you for taking time off. You can file for what's called FMLA, the Family Medical Leave Act.
Yeah.
Which says that if you're pregnant or you just had a baby, you can take up to 16 weeks if you qualify for FMLA, but it's unpaid.
Remember, I don't know, what was it, Finland or something like that? One of our friends sent us a video of the whole box of stuff that comes to new parents in their country. Like, it was a whole bunch of clothes and all kinds of things. You remember that?
Yeah.
Not here.
JF, do me a favor, bro. And if I have any moderators in the chat, we're not gonna do the conspiracy theory thing and accuse people of stuff without proof. Now, Tom Hanks is a celebrity, but he's still a human being and he still has rights. And unless you have definitive proof, you're gonna have to stop talking about that nonsense, please. Thank you. If you do it again, we will ban you. Because we don't get to lie about people. That's not freedom of speech. We don't get to do that. Okay. So, yeah, Tina, it's JF. If JF says anything, any more false accusations,
she already got him once.
Please get him out.
Deleted his
I love you, bro, but we're not going to be party to you doing that, right? Well, I'll make you a mod anyway.
I can do it on my side.
Well, again, JF, like, I don't want to distract from what we're talking about in this song here. If you have proof, show your proof. But if not,
thanks, Ian.
Change the subject. Yeah, they can fire you in some states. Yeah, if you don't apply for FMLA, they can fire you. Mm-hmm. So it's just crazy, and they won't tell you either. They won't tell you that FMLA is available to you. But that's the best you're gonna get in America. Is we won't fire your ass because we can't, but we would if we could. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
You know, like, there's some people that they can't afford to not go back to work because the way that the system is set up.
Think about it. They got a child now.
Right.
They got an extra mouth to feed.
Yep.
So even if we gave them 15 weeks of FMLA and unpaid FMLA, they're not going to fucking stay there for much longer than they have. They're going to drain all of their vacation time.
Yep.
To spend a few weeks with their baby, so the rest of the year they have nothing to look forward to but working for us. Mm-hmm. It's mind-boggling. It's absolutely mind-boggling. Ian, you're gonna all right. Rate the song. Does this feel like 12 minutes to you?
No, this one wasn't 12 minutes.
It wasn't?
No, that's another one of the songs.
Okay.
Boo. It did have some good sound to it as well.
100%.
What year was this?
2000.
I hate their new 2013.
13.
Okay. 9.1.
Yeah, I give it a solid 9.38. Really good song, really strong. I generally don't like these pre-song summaries or whatnot, but I understand what they're doing with this, and it makes a lot of sense, especially considering these are previous movies and other classics, things of that nature.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
shout out to that. That's a good idea, and it's kind of risky considering the type of person I am. So there you go, really good one. We got
shout
more
out to the
songs
Extreme
coming up for
Underground.
you.
Thank you for that.
Shout out to that was the XU. That was
Yep.
XU did Song 1. Song 2 is coming from Anarchy 99. The name of the band is the Fall of Efraffa. Efraffa, Watership down, I guess. Having said that, dear listener, Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone. Mm-hmm. I almost hit end broadcast. Hey, Sean, how you doing?
I forgot the timestamp on the last one, so let's get this next one anyway. Are you starting it right away?
Yeah. Let's start it right away. Let's go to the commercial break and I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of Alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft. Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch.
Indeed. A child shall lead them.
All right.
Dear
next
listener,
up,
you are in the middle of the music
in the
in
art.
art stream by a collection of alliances that you just heard about just now. They
This
decided
next
to take
song-
4 songs, and Soraya is going to explain to you what the deal is with this particular song. Shout out, by the way, to Kellandros. Kellandros, you didn't miss it. This is your song. Anarchy 99, Fall of Efraffa. The first one was the Cult of Luna song. You did miss that one. Glad to see you here, big homie. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I just had to say hi to Kel. You know how that is.
All right. The information on this one is this was Anarchy 99's winner of the Cross Alliance Music in the Arts Tournament. This song was inspired by Richard Adams' novel Watership Down. Watership Down is about a group of rabbits looking for a new warren to live when one of them gets a vision that danger will come to their current warren. Efraffa is the current warren. The group manages to escape and encounter dangers and adventures on the search for a new warren. Upon finding an ideal spot, they realize they need female rabbits in order to establish the warren and must return to Efraffa to bring some with them. This leads to a clash with the more brutal leaders of the warren. Those leaders are ultimately defeated, and unity between Efraffa, the new warren, and a third warren between the two is formed.
And that, dear listener, is what you will be listening to. That's some context. Shout out to
Anarchy 99 who brought us this
and
pick.
now here it is, the Fall of Efraffa. What is it? Something down? What do we call it again?
It's literally the Fall of Efraffa is the name of the band, and the Fall of Efraffa is the name of the song.
All right, dear listener, and go. Now you know.
This is pretty. I'm hoping for perfect vocals here. The fields are covered with blood.
What song is that on the record? Second to last one. That's
Still going?
It's like raindrops. I
Yeah.
think. You know what's interesting?
'Cause it's like a fire.
I guess this whole book and everything came about because they would take these long car rides, the author, and he would make up the story off the top of his head to his kids.
Really?
Particularly his daughters, and his daughters made him write it down in a book.
Oh, that's adorable.
So, well, it's interesting because he says, "Look, I didn't mean this book to be an allegory or whatever. I didn't mean it to be anything other than just
Telling a story in the car.
Yeah, Yeah, that's all I cared about was my daughter and like. I almost feel bad saying that because I feel like because a lot of people, yeah. So Richard Adams told his daughters Juliet and Rosamund this story, and that's pretty much it. That's what he was doing. He wasn't trying to come up with a giant metaphor for the world or anything like that.
That's so interesting. And my cousin used to do that. He would tell us stories about Timmy the Turtle. Well, he really would tell his sister. He was her big brother. He would tell her about Timmy the Turtle.
Adams explained that he meant the book to be only a made-up story, in no sense an allegory or parable of any kind of political myth. I simply wrote down a story I told to my little girls.
Well...
So, I mean...
I guess that means you're really super freaking brilliant if you can just write something off the top of your dome and it has implications.
Well, see... And then you think to yourself, yeah, bro, that was your intention. But subconsciously...
Yep.
Are there themes to this story...
Yep.
That, you know, because it's like... I remember one time, you know... because me and my buddy, we were going to be original. So we were going to write music and it was going to be original. So we were hanging out in Central Park talking about this. And there was this girl who was an artist. And she said, "Oh, you're going to make an instrument we've never heard before?" And I said, "No, we're in a band. I play guitar. He's a singer." She's like, "Well, then how can you be original? You didn't make up the guitar." And now, obviously now, when I look back at it, we thought Korn was this giant, original, groundbreaking band. And they were. They broke ground. But when I listen to Tony Iommi, I say, well, wait a second.
There's some similarities.
Not only is it this band or this riff, like, there's a whole genre this guy inspired that you picked up your guitar and you were just... I do it all the time. Like, I'm just dilly-dallying. But, I'm in major scale. Why am I in major scale? Well, because that's the first thing that Sean taught me was major scale. So all the shit I do when I want to do solos or whatever, it's all major scales or a broken up major scale. Like our song is, you know,
yeah.
I can show you that drill. Like, so I understand like his intention, right? But like, just like it's not my intention to like rip off of, well, no, I do intentionally rip off people. I said it yesterday.
I was going to say you said it yesterday.
But most of us as guitarists in general don't intend to rip off anybody. We intend to play what comes from our heart. It just so happens that everything that comes from our heart sounds like all of our heroes. So I'm not sure if I'm not sure that you cannot, you know, make an allegory out of this. You know what I'm saying? And even if he didn't intend to in his conscious mind,
it's still, yeah.
Who knows? Maybe in his subconscious mind, because for whatever reason, this book has really affected people. There's been plays about it. There's been cartoons about it. There's been this band apparently is dedicated to it. So it's a. There you go. Okay, BM fans in the house. Who's a freaking OG. I was just talking about Marx.
Oh, really?
And Marxism and all that jazz. They later went on to form Lightbearer, which makes a hell of a lot of sense to me. But these guys really, it really affected them, and it affected a lot of people.
Yep.
And so at some level you have to say, it's really weird, like as an artist, sometimes you kind of lose your art. Your art doesn't belong to you anymore because it's so powerful. And the people kind of take it and it kind of means something to them. So even if you didn't mean it for that, it almost doesn't matter. Because once you put the art out there, you're the originator, but it almost doesn't belong to you anymore. It's almost like some artists.
Yeah, I can see that.
Their child becomes an adult and moves out of the house, if that makes any sense. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's always say, like if you're a really good parent, that means you're working yourself out of a job for the most part, unless there are other extenuating circumstances. And I think if you're an artist, maybe that's a pinnacle of art when your art leaves you. Yeah, I think it depends on the person. And then identifies with another group.
I think it depends on the person. Some people don't want their stuff touched at all. They don't want you to, you know, just like copying. Like when I was a kid, if somebody copied me, I was like, I did see that as the biggest form of a compliment. But I was around other people that I liked to copy because I always thought that they did certain things very, very well. And they used to hate it when they would get copied. It was so frustrating to them. I think they wanted their stuff to be more original.
This is interesting. So this is a thing. It's called the death of the author, when the intention of the author loses meaning compared to how others interpret it. That's a very, very fascinating concept. So I think that this has kind of been globbed on to, especially Amy Lee's in the house, by the way. Shout out to Amy Lee. A lot of anti-fascists, Watership Down's universal motifs of liberation and self-determination have been identified with by readers from a diversity of backgrounds. The author, Rachel Kadish, reflecting on our own superimposition of the founding of Israel onto Watership Down, has remarked, turns out plenty of other people have seen their histories in that book. Some people see it as an allegory for struggles against Cold War fascism, extremism, a protest against materialism, against a corporate state. Watership Down can be Ireland after the famine, Rwanda after the massacres. Kadish has praised both the fantasy genre and Watership Down for its motif that hit home in every culture. Wow. All passers-by are welcome to bring their own subplots and plug it into the archetype. Yeah, I think this happens with like certain figures that become religious leaders.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the shit that they say, like, absolutely. Yo, bro, I didn't mean, like, obviously it's very dangerous for me to say this because considering everybody knows me. Mm-hmm. Zombie Holic in the house. Greetings from Brazil. Shout out to Brazil. We had a lot of South Americans the last couple of days. Yeah, and so the Warren gets destroyed. This interconnected sort of tunnel. What's really interesting is the movie Us. Yeah.
I thought of it a lot during this
Rabbits were a major theme in that film, and it's really interesting. I almost wonder again, like subliminally, had he read that book? Because if you're talking about self-determination, if you're talking about a Warren, because there was a labyrinth underground in the second to last scene of the movie, and you could just see there was this labyrinth underground, and you had these humans, but they were kind of not human, and all they had to eat was rabbit. And they had to eat rabbits and over again, but they finally basically wanted to break out of their shell and come above ground. Yep. So they wanted to abandon the underground and come above ground and determine for themselves their own lives because they're so again, it's this really crazy. And I've listened to a lot of Jordan Peele when he talked about Us, because I felt like Us was actually better than Get Out. I felt it was more layered than Get Out.
Oh, it was. I would agree with
it's also
that.
more terrifying than Get Out, I think. And so I was listening to, but he never mentioned this at all. He never mentioned this story. But part of me feels like, especially a guy like him, who's such a deep thinker, he must have come across the book at some level. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so then he writes his story, Us, about people underground who are fighting for self-determination. Yeah. And, these rabbits are kind of the archetype for that. And rabbits feature heavily in that movie, in Us. Yes. So it's one of the more fascinating things to me about human. I think that the craziest question I've ever been asked on this came from Ben. Okay. When Ben Webb said, Vin, he said, I'm being serious now. Do sounds want to be heard? Yeah. And then, because it's true. Any musician knows this. Like, you hear something in your head and then you go and you play it. And none of us thinks, like, how the hell did that sound pop into my head?
Where did that originate?
You know what I'm saying? Like, one thing where you're just fiddling around with the guitar and you go, oh, I like that progression. Oh, and then you build on it. But a lot of times, like, you just hear a sound and you hear a progression that you haven't heard before. Right. And so
see, that doesn't happen to me, but it happens when I write.
Right, but if you were a musician and if you were like on your guitar every day, like like you're swimming in that world, it's kind of almost. That's always, the guitar is always in the back of my head from sun up to sundown. Like, so I almost wonder, like, same thing with words or with concepts, like, it which is crazy. Like, but do these words or concepts have some sort of immaterial cognitive sort of ontology somewhere? Yeah. And then it basically finds the right person. And I'm not even saying God. I'm saying because I've been wrestling with that idea the entire time since he said that, because we were talking about Hoffman and all the rest of it. And, you know, Hoffman makes the argument that even rocks are conscious to a degree. And if rocks are conscious, then sounds are simply vibrations, right? And so there's a physical component to sound.
Yeah.
So there's just so many things. I'm like, I don't know. So, like, did this story want to be told? You know, people talk about their muse. How does this author, he's making up, I mean, first of all, how incredibly talented must a person be? He was freestyling that shit off the top of his head.
Right.
And it's like this classic book that is inspiring so many different things. So it's just pretty crazy. A good example of the death of the author is the song "Child in Time" by Deep Purple. People often see it as an anti-war piece. In reality, the song had nothing to do with that. Yeah. Yeah, creative imagination, I guess. But the problem is, like, for me, like, I don't work to think of those sounds. I work to translate what I've heard in my head onto the guitar. But there's a lot of times I'm doing something else, and all of a sudden the sound will come or a progression will come, and then I'll either, like,
take out his phone, and then he does.
I'll literally take my phone out and go dun 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 dun. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's cute. So it's more of like translation than it is imagination. But and that doesn't happen all the time. It's just very, very fascinating to me that people can jump on something and then claim it. And, you know, I think BM Fan and Kel are right. Like, it gets to the point where it's like, it's no longer yours, bro. Like, you're gonna get the royalties and all that, but that child, that brainchild that was gestating within your mind, and that you birthed through a horrible 9-month process of authoring, has now grown up and been either kidnapped or moved out, but it's gone. It's no longer yours anymore.
I mean,
man.
I see that as, like, the biggest, like, hat tip to an artist is that people were able to take their art and make it into something for themselves. So I'm with that all the way. I do think it's important to know, you know, where the author was going. I think that that's a good, like, way to hat tip the author.
Right.
But simultaneously, I think that if people take it and they just go to town with it, that's a compliment for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, you know, blood spilled on toiled grounds, fur will hang in rugged clumps upon the hedgerows, peace is lost to us now, a fettered ideal. I mean, all of this could be the Bolshevik Revolution, the American Revolution, you know, the slave revolts. It could be anything where you got a group of people who are forced underground to a degree and have to come out and fight for themselves and fight for their right to even exist or whatever. It could be your LGBT friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be, you know, I mean, just raise a rear. There's trans women of color are dying, like, you know, they're basically forced underground, societally speaking, and clumps of them are dying in bunches, bro. And it just seems nobody cares. So, like, there's just so many ways you could plug this in, and I don't think I've ever seen something like this before. But maybe I have, because we've reviewed like 2,500 songs.
But you didn't have the breakdown.
But we generally, we don't look at the breakdown because I don't want it to fuck with my interpretation. But at the same time, I would have interpreted the song the same way. You know what I'm saying? The only thing I would have done is I would not have literalized the bunnies. I would have said that the bunnies were metaphorical for whatever. Yeah. But according to the author, it's not. But apparently, it's not his song anymore, bro. So there's that. What do you give the song?
Okay. So when it first started, I loved the sound of it, and then I was like, "Where are the vocal style going to go?" Because there's a certain vocal style that I was kind of hoping for. And then it was different than I expected, and so I was like, "Meh." But then by the end, I really enjoyed it. It's a 9.6 for me.
This is a solid, easy 10.5 for me. And I gotta say, I'm just shout out to Fernando. I'm just very, like, taken aback about this death of the author concept. Yeah. And, you know, that's going to be in my head for a thank you guys for that.
And even the way that it's in
my head for, even the way that,
the phrase is poetic.
I agree. Because that has a lot of implications, man. Yeah. I could, one of the things I got from this channel is and it's ironic because I'm the original Sin guy, but a massive appreciation I have seen so much of the image of God in these bands and these people, and even our friends that are able to like school us with this stuff. You just see so much of like the fucking brilliancy of human beings, man. And like how truly weird the world is.
Oh, wait a minute. What do you mean by weird?
This dude was in his car.
Oh, yeah.
Just trying to pass the time. And then you think about all the million counterfactuals that put him and those two girls in the car at that moment, and what the necessities were that he was going towards or leaving.
Yeah.
It's just, how do you go from that to affecting people in our community so deeply that they say this has to be heard by Vin and Sori,
Yeah.
to whatever is going to happen now, that it's mind-boggling to me. Human beings are amazing to me. Just absolutely freaking amazing what human beings are capable of doing. And then to be able to, thoughts and words and books are not physical. They're not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like to be able to grasp that and take that from the person who originated it and say it's ours now.
Yep.
Like human beings are insane. It's just unbelievable. I just love the fuck out of human beings, bro. I just love human beings, man. Like shit is crazy. And that's I just think that's just one of the things that God just like, yeah, you guys you fuck shit up, but look at this brilliance. Anyway,
Yeah, I'm with it.
it's 10.5. It's unbelievable to me. Unbelievable song. I didn't want to like dig
What's up, Fernando?
too much into the lyrics because I wanted to respect the author, because the author was like, look, man, this is a straight up story about my daughter for my daughters. It's what it is. Like, so I wanted to respect that and say, okay, bro, okay, I respect that. But at the same time, you still have to talk about the other stuff. And the musicianship in the was absolutely beautiful. Especially that last part. I wish, and then to find out that, of course, Lightbearer, of course, because Lightbearer has those long extended interludes of really melodic, sort of oases in the desert type situations, because it's so heavy or so like caustic and they have these really extended, and I love that they're not afraid to have these extended instrumental periods. I'll get there at some point when I'm able to add more complexity, or probably when we're able to like practice more together as a band, so that you can see, like, Seven wasn't able to like hang out yesterday because he's working on his bass part. So like it depends,
Yep.
Okay, there you are, dear listener. If you are not a square, and you're down with the struggle, we have more music coming your way. If not, it is what it is. We will check you out at 11 a.m. Eastern Standing Time. Standard Time. Having said that, dear listener, Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone. Commercial time, dumb butts. You okay? Okay. Commercial time, dumb butts. We shall return. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch.
Buy merch indeed. The child shall lead them. Lead them. My girl left me. So it is no longer the Vin and Sori show. It is now the Vin show.
No.
Oh.
I have arrived.
Oh, look, she has arrived. She's returned. I thought it was over.
No. I'll give it another go.
All right. There's Amy. Shout out to Amy.
Take it.
She should have been there at the thingamajig. Okay. The name of this song is The Ocean by Bathypelagic. I think is the name of the band.
Did you decide what you're doing?
Here's the... Go ahead, dude. This is from the Epic Underground.
Yes, this was the EU's winner of the Cross Alliance Music in the Arts Tournament. The Oceans... Say that again. Bathypelagic.
Bathypelagic. I'm going to go with Bathypelagic.
Is inspired by the 1979 science fiction movie Stalker. This movie involves a mystical room which supposedly fulfills the greatest desires of anyone who enters it. However, you cannot choose which desire the room fulfills. Instead, the room will fulfill the wish your subconscious wants most. That's so creepy and interesting. Note that this... it was 1979. Note that this album, Pelagial, is a concept album that covers a journey from the surface down to the murky depths of the deep blue sea, doubling as a metaphorical journey into the depths of the human psyche.
Yikes.
The name refers to the pelagic zone, which is also the ocean which is all of the ocean other than the coast and the sea floor. This is divided further into subzones, including the can you say that, please? Bathypelagic or midnight zone, for which this song is named. This subzone is from 1,000 to 4,000 meters in depth and is at the point where there is no light left whatsoever. P.S. The band broke this song into 3 parts, so it's technically 3 songs. We strongly recommend that you listen to all 3 as a single song. However, if you decide you cannot do all 3, then please listen to the first of the 3 for the reaction.
The Ocean is the band. The Ocean is the band. Now, Archero has been an OG team leader who's done a lot of stuff. Yeah. So we're going to listen to the entire thing. This, dear listener, does not obligate us to do the same for you. We love you, but you're not Archero.
Right.
And plus, honestly, our Alliance folks have been with us since day one.
Right.
So,
right.
It's
Seriously.
one song. It's 12 minutes. Sit back, relax it. Please don't spoil the beauty of the moment by sending us a nasty email or something like that. Okay. Having said that, dear listener, the moment has arrived. The time. The band is named The Ocean. Actually, that's the name of the band. Is The Ocean. It's
okay. You know what we should do?
Or whatever
we should just start an email that's Vin and Sori comments and complaints, and tell everybody send them there.
I have a folder for that.
Do you really?
Yeah, I set up a rule in my Gmail folder for that.
Stop! Yeah. You didn't.
Yeah. It's a very complex folder. It's called delete.
Oh!
Just right click.
I start reading them and I'm like, oh, I forward to you. I'll let Vinny take that one.
Well, unless they're our friends, like. Because our friends are going to have, like, really insightful, constructive... You know what I'm saying? They're going to criticize you, but it's going to be constructive. It's not just... Meh. Yeah. And plus, I mean, I don't care. Archero, he's done so many things, and these alliances have done so many things. Like, they're, like...
And they have the patience of Job. Wait, that's not a compliment.
Pretty much anything that they want in these types of situations, I'm just going to say, well, just look the other way. But not for you, dear listener. All right, let's go. The Ocean.
Let's go.
I'm like the worst salesman.
Literally, honest to goodness, you really, really are.
If you ain't down with Costa Nostra, fuck you, full price. That's just horrible. All right, here we go, guys. The Ocean is the name of the band, and I am Vincent, the worst salesman of all time. Let's go. Right out the gate.
heavy. Woo-hoo! That drumming, you hear that shit?
Get inside of them.
boy, that's my shit.
Yeah. This was...
I don't like prog metal, but this is the kind of prog metal I like. This is the kind of prog metal I love, to be honest with you.
Oh.
Well,
okay.
I love heavy shit, man.
Yeah.
I love heavy shit, and that last part.
Yeah, it was a different sort of heavy.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna annoy you because you always get annoyed when I do this, but I had to do this yesterday as well because I'm sorry.
No, honey, I used to.
This part right here, y'all. It's coming up. Be patient. It's coming. There it goes. I gotta hear it again. I'm sorry. I gotta hear it again. Coming. What? Forget it.
Yeah.
Forget it.
It's over.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
Forget about it. See what I did there?
I did
Very
see
good
what
way
you
to
did
slip
there.
it in there.
I saw it.
That shit was ridiculous, man. Like, I love that shit. See, this is the type of shit where it's like, okay, these guys are bringing the genre forward. It's not just like, look at me, I went to music theory.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I went to school for music.
they-
Like, this is shit that takes the genre forward, like sonically speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love it. I love it. Now,
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Because it seems like this is your kind of world or song or whatever.
Oh, it was. But so musically, what it sounded, I was really enjoying the sound of it, and then I forgot to keep my eye on the lyrics, and then I remembered what the lyrics were going to be about, and I was like, oh no, this is something that I would want to watch step for step and watch 100%. It progress. Yeah,
100%.
So
what was the name of the movie?
It was from 1979, so I was like, right there.
Oh yeah.
It's called Stalker. Interesting.
That's so weird.
That is really weird. Okay. So he says, there's movement in these depths. There's a place for everything. Try to make sense out of what we've been through, and I still justify the things I used to do. I don't believe in nothing, but I believe in you. Take my word and move on. I've chosen to embrace all the things that I cannot change, but I'm not sure if this helps to relieve you from bitterness. I thought that line was pretty interesting. Because we're talking about the psyche, and that's what the movement in these depths is. And then he says that there's a place for everything, and it does seem like everything that kind of comes in finds some place to hang out, like inside your psyche. And it's either going to get put in a dominant location, or it's going to get stuffed in the back into the subconscious. Mm-hmm. Which they touched on in the movie, which was like a pretty crazy idea. You go in there thinking that your desires are going to get fulfilled, but then it's actually the desires of your subconscious, which you maybe intentionally don't make yourself aware of. So I'm sure they would be shocked in that situation. So
when he's saying of what we've been through, I still justify the things I used to do, he's talking about his stalking of her?
You know, that I wasn't sure, because I actually didn't put it as like a stalker thing. I was just looking at it as, you know, like when people do things right or wrong, like, and they just justify it.
And then he goes to some place where he can have all of his wishes, but he can't choose which to fulfill.
Okay, I guess I must have missed the beginning of that. I knew about the place that they went to, but I didn't know there was a stalker. No, it just says a mystical room which supposedly fulfills the greatest desire of anyone who enters it.
How's that different from what I just said?
Because anybody can go in there. It wasn't just about some stalker that goes in there trying to...
Yeah, but he was the stalker, though. I'm assuming that
don't know.
I'm assuming that his wish fulfillment would be that girl.
You're probably right. Yeah, you're probably right.
But the thing says, what now? You can't control the
You
effect?
can't choose which desire the room fulfills. Instead, the room will fulfill the wish your subconscious wants the most.
See, that's something that's scary to you and not to me, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I've done a lot of work of trying to meld those two together.
Oh, mine are so separated.
Like I don't accept that that's the way that we should be. Like that we should have this like second self or secret self. It's like hiding, and then you have this other self that's projecting. That's not real. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I try my best to try to like bring those two together as much as I possibly can. Which is why sometimes I think it gets interpreted as me saying a hurtful thing or something like that, when it's more like I know this about myself. You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to be true to that, to the deepest version of myself. The subconscious conscious thing to me is, it's fascinating, but it's also I get very confused as to why people accept that as like a fact of reality. Like, is that something that you're like, oh, it's a fact of reality, you're gonna have a conscious and a subconscious mind? Or do you ever think about harmonizing the two?
No, I've always thought that those were just going to be separated. But,
yeah.
You know, recently I've thought of it. But to be honest with you, I know that the Bible says that we're all sinners and our feet are quick to shed blood and all of that. But the idea of coming to terms with who I am or what I'm capable of is absolutely terrifying to me.
Yeah, but not even moral question. Well, I mean, I guess you can say that the falling is moral, but like it's talking about your desires here. So you would be afraid of what desires you have.
Of course.
Or what your dominant desires are.
Of course.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Especially, you know, depending on, like, I don't know. I don't know if it's, people get very offended with this, but like women tend to have more like emotion. Like we have a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
And a lot of mine, I hide away. I don't show, like, you see me, you know, cry more than anyone ever has, but there's still like whole bunches of my emotions that I keep like chained in the back, I guess you could say, because.
Yeah. It's interesting because I don't think I would be afraid if the room is, okay, you're getting your subconscious desires. Like that wouldn't.
Yeah,
because
a bunch of stacks of books that appear.
Well, no, I don't think a stack of books
Yay.
would appear. I think things that you consider bad would appear, but I've reconciled that to myself. You know what I'm saying? Like I think there's a lot of good in embracing your shadow without having to go through the machinations of going into this room, you know, where, and then it's like, well, why do I want one of the things? Do the people know that they cannot control the outcome of the room? That it's based on their most...
No, they don't know.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they don't know. I don't believe that they know. I think that was part of the shock of the whole thing.
Yeah, like...
But
good.
I don't think about... Because if I ever think of like kind of putting them together, I'm not a fan of that. I don't know if other people are...
I think it's because I've done very bad things. Like, I've done like a lot of irreversible things. So it's like, okay, well, like, what are you gonna do? I feel like there's nothing that my subconscious is gonna tell me that I want to do than what I have actually done in real life.
Yeah,
and it's not normal.
That kind of like poses like a weird question.
You understand the life. I mean, it's not normal shit.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of poses like a weird question because. So my parents were very strict with us. It was a very religious house, you know all that.
Yeah.
And then we couldn't really... So if there was something that you wanted to do that was not good, you couldn't really do it. Like, not that we never did anything wrong, because we absolutely did. But there was a whole bunch of other things that would have been probably considered normal teenage things that we didn't do, where in your world, if there was something you wanted to do, you just said, well, I'm going to do it, right? I mean...
It depends. What are you talking about?
I mean, are there a lot of things that you wanted to do in your life that you just didn't do because they were morally wrong?
Yeah.
A lot of things?
A lot of things, yeah.
Oh, wow. I mean, I always hear about the other things that you did do, and, you know, a lot of those would be like...
I go out of my way to embrace my shadow, the darkness. You know what I'm saying? So I go out of my way to talk about it constantly and air it out constantly. I mean, as much as I'm able to, you know, without whatever. But I make a habit of that. I make it, you know, and I've been going through this drill since I was like 11 years old. I look in the mirror and say, you did, you know, XYZ thing. And I just look at myself and I say, you did that. But it wasn't like a condemnatory thing. It's like, okay, this is part of your... Like, I'm working with one of the kids right now about myopia, you know, like just having a small angle view of the world and the exigencies that are coming, they're going to come into your life if you're just a in the moment thinker instead of being able to operate with the future in mind. And I just said to him, I said, look, I'm not condemning you for that. I'm just telling you that if you know that about yourself, then you'll be protected from getting duped by somebody who can control that.
Yeah.
And can control you that way.
Yeah.
So, but he's not interpreting it that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not interpreting that way. He's kind of interpreting it like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, it's, I don't know if it's something where the shit I was into was just so extreme and so foreign to who I am as a person at the conscious level. Whereas, you know, which is why I make such a big deal about nonviolence and things of that nature, because, you know, I've been, you know, so yeah, I don't know. I haven't really figured that out, but I do think, like, if you're in the unfortunate situation of being in situations where you've done things where there's no point of return, then you kind of have to decide what you're gonna do. You know, you're gonna quit or you're gonna you know, move forward. Whereas I guess if you've lived the way that you've lived pretty much most of your life, then it'd be harder to accept, you know, negative things, I guess.
Yeah, I think too that if you have a separation between who you are by your actions, if you let your actions define you, or if you let your internal dialogue and the things that you think about or your desires be who you are. And so if you have both of those as two separate people and you've only ever really looked at the one that, like, the actions were put out in the world and people could react to those, then the subconscious can become a very scary place. It's like untapped, you know what I mean? And it's not discussed, and it's, you know, it can be a...
And that's why he says, how much control do we have over what we wish for?
I know, and then that went into yesterday's conversation that we were listening to this morning.
Compatibilism versus libertarianism.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Yeah, because that's a very smart question. Because a wish comes from an unfulfilled desire, right? But from whence came that desire? As I said yesterday, I'm a righteous... I was born righteous, so God made me non-amenable to mayonnaise, the abomination that is mayonnaise. Like, I cannot try to like mayonnaise, and I did not try to dislike mayonnaise. I'm just a godly person, and so I had no choice but to dislike mayonnaise. So and I did not choose to like pizza, and you know, that has massive implications theologically for the LGBT conversation, for example.
Oh, it does, yeah.
Where John Piper excuses Jonathan Edwards and his slave-owning ass by saying that he had a blind spot in his theology and a blank spot in his sanctification. It's like, oh, I don't have a problem with that. I will take your nasty-ass Puritan slaveholder for all my LGBT friends. I'm good. Right. Because there's no way you can now
when you put it like that, it's like, well, okay.
There's no way you can condemn my LGBT folks who are striving to follow Jesus best they can. I'll just say they have a blank spot too, Piper.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
So we'll go
you
there.
You could use that.
But that's a crazy thing. Like, we, you know, I taught a Bible study one day, and I said, like, I believe the vast majority of people who are gay were born gay and knew they were gay for a very early age. I believe that. Yeah. Now, how that came to be is a separate discussion. But you wouldn't believe, like, people are like, whoa, we can't say gay people are born that way. Because they're already setting up, we've got to condemn these motherfuckers, so we can't say they were born that way, which of course makes no sense from a biblical standpoint, but we'll go with it. But we don't, you know, you're an unbelievably beautiful woman. Any straight dude, like, you know, I'm not even gonna get into it, but like, you don't have a choice. I remember one time, Bible study, and you came out of the shower, but I mean, you were fully clothed and everything.
I was like, but you said it so weird.
Yeah, we weren't together at the time, but we came out of the shower and your hair was
fully dressed. My hair was
your
just
hair
wet.
looks so amazing when it's wet, though. Especially when you come out of the shower. It's unbelievable. Like, you look like a fucking star. It's unbelievable. And I saw homeboy was looking at you, and I was like, I was quoting Muhammad to him. I was like, lower your eyes, bitch. I didn't say that to him because I know this guy beats the hell out of himself for his lust issues. So I had forgotten that little interaction. Like, he can't control that. He didn't look at you and say, "Oh, I'm going to be attracted to Sori today." He didn't say that. He had no choice.
He had no choice.
He had no choice. You see what I'm saying? Like, his mind went there. I mean, I felt bad for the homie, like, because I had forgotten what I saw in that little interaction. So he texted me. He's like, "Hey man, you got to pray for me, blah blah blah. You know, I got lust issues." And I said, "Yeah, I mean, you know, look, man, when girls at work are trying to get at you, because I'm projecting my situation, his situation. Those girls try to get at you. Just remember X, Y, Z." He's like, "Nah, man, it's not them." And then I kind of did like a ... thing because it's kind of awkward, you know.
Yeah.
Like, all the dudes at 90% of dudes at some point would come to me either to ask for your hand or to tell me, how do we strategize, because I've got these issues with, you know, dudes are dreaming about you and shit. Like, they don't control that. They don't control that.
Well, I think that it's not like, oh, you cannot control that. I think that what you do with your mind throughout the day sets the groundwork for what you can and can't control as far as desires go, or thoughts that just kind of come up.
I think that's crazy.
I don't think so, because you know, we've known people that, because they obsessed about pornography, then they see, you know, a piston moving in a car, and then that's all they're thinking about. You've set the groundwork for that.
Okay, I'll give you that. But that's not the same thing as a massively beautiful woman just coming out of the shower. It's not the same thing. Because 9.5 guys out of 10, gay or straight, are gonna say you look incredibly beautiful and seductive in that fall. God, and you know, with you were so naive, you didn't understand, so you just came out with your, you know, looking all crazy and sexy and shit, and you know, you didn't do anything wrong, but like, those boys,
I felt uncomfortable.
They didn't have any control of that, bro.
I felt uncomfortable when I came out.
They had no control of that whatsoever. So you can't really control what you wish for. And then the question becomes, well, then why do I wish for what I wish for then, if I don't have any control over it? Who's conspiring against me here? Like, no, that's a serious question. Like, that shit's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Lacaus. I appreciate it. Shout out to him for the super chat, or her. All right, let's go to song 2.
Did you see Amy Lee?
Huh?
What Amy said?
I did. When the day arrives, I'll be petrified. Pressure is increasing with every meter we sink. Because they went 200 meters down, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to shape and change them, but it's they who've changed me.
Yeah.
I wanted to get on top of them, but they wouldn't let me. That's why Peterson, he said, it's not clear whether or not you have an idea or an idea has you. Mm-hmm. And that is a very, very provocative statement. Mm-hmm. And here he is. I wanted to shape and change them. I'm assuming those are his wishes, because it just you know, piggybacked off the previous song. And he's dealing with you know, it's kind of like the whole King Midas thing, where he's like, I want to have a golden touch, and then it ruined his entire life.
Right. Pretty sure that's how his daughter died. What's? Oh shoot! What was I gonna say? It's gone. Anyway.
I wanted to shape and change them, but they've changed me.
Yeah, I can't remember what I was gonna go with that. Go ahead, you can go.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, that is true. Like, your desires, your wishes, you know, they end up having a lot more dominance over you than you over them. And so that's why it was such a provocative question for Peterson to say, do you have ideas or do the ideas have you? Like some people are gripped with an idea.
Yep.
And I think Jung called that like the anima. Where you just get gripped with this thing and like you get possessed. You called it being possessed by the anima. And I think that you're a lot less likely to get possessed by the anima if you know yourself at a deep level. But the only way you can do that is if you come to that exercise as a problem-solving exercise instead of a moral measurement exercise. Because if you come to your internal compulsions with a moral measurement, forget it.
See, and that's what happens to me every time. Carry on.
Well, that's why, every time we talk or I talk with the kids, it's like, I'm looking for a solution.
I know.
I'm not even necessarily looking for anybody to fall on the sword. I'm looking for a solution.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
To me, apologies function as a backstop. Like, oh, you hate saying I'm sorry, so that's gonna make it so that we're at a neutral place. But a neutral place is not a solution. So, like, I don't even care. I don't really care about the apology. Like, if I thought we had a conversation for 5 or 10 minutes, and we're gonna action this one thing so that we can both avoid this kind of an argument, I wouldn't need an apology. Like my guys, dudes that like nobody ever apologized to anybody, but it was like solution based because nobody was worried about that. Oh, you said you're sorry to me. Like, man, I want to go home to my family. You know what I'm saying? So this was a problem.
Yep.
This was a miscue. This miscue could have really cost us. So let's come up with a solution. So like if you look at yourself and you engage with your dark side or whatever you want to call it, anima, shadow, whatever, you engage with that and you just say to that other emanation of yourself and say, look, I'm not trying to judge you.
Yep.
Hell, I'm not even trying to fix you. I'm trying to solve this specific problem that we continuously find ourselves in. Which is a drill I go through probably every night in the shower.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I don't say the don't judge you thing because I just don't judge myself because of the Corinthian stuff. But like I do say like, how are we going to solve this problem? And I say we because it's me, it's myself who's my true self in Christ, and then there's my shadow, dark side on him, whatever you want to call it. And that motherfucker's still active.
Yeah.
That's why the Bible says crucify, your sinful nature, because that he's out there doing some shit. So I talk because I'm trying to make peace between the divisions within myself. And that's when I get these, the closer and closer you get to that, in my mind, the more free you are. But if you spend all the time like stuffing all that in the subconscious, when it's time for you to get an opportunity, like getting all the wishes that you want, it ends up another exercise in fear and futility. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So
I think... yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's a... The thing is, what if, like... Yeah, I'm not gonna go there. What I was gonna say before was Jordan Peterson. It's so interesting because I really enjoy listening to his stuff. But as of late, whenever I pick, it just so happens that the ones that I pick, when he gets to the crux of the whole thing, he doesn't have an answer because he doesn't. It's because he's not a Christian, so he can't reconnect it back to God, and so because he can't reconnect it back to God, it's like just kind of hanging there.
Yeah.
And you can tell that even he himself is not completely satisfied with the end, but he has nowhere else to go,
Well, I agree. I mean, Christianity provides a very convenient template for you to be able to engage with your shadow and your dark self. You almost have an asbestos. You have an asbestos suit when you go in there, because it's like no matter what you see, it's already been crucified. So I don't care about what I see when I look at myself in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, you did that, okay, and then I say that, and you're clean. So, but this guy he's really, really dealing with it because his dreams keep disappearing on him, which is true. It's that whole paradox of once you can admire the hell out of the rose, but the minute you plug pluck that rose up and put it in the vase, you have killed it. And you have just guaranteed the end of your relationship with that rose the minute you pull that up. And I think there's a lot of truths like that across the board where people got exactly what they wanted, and the minute they got it, it started dying. And like that is a crazy paradox with life, you know, which is again like why all of our rock star friends keep killing themselves.
Oh God, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Why does that keep happening?
Yep.
And you can even like put this on the rappers too. It's like people are like, oh man, this rap shit, like it's really, really dangerous. And then it's like these dudes keep getting killed in the hood. They all get killed where they're from.
I know.
And so there's this thing like, why are these guys so dumb? Have you ever thought maybe it's not because they're dumb, it's because they've achieved everything that they thought they wanted to make them happy, and they're still not happy?
Yeah.
So they're trying to get back to square one to figure out where they left off? Is that possible? But what ends up happening is, because of circumstances, they end up getting got. I get it.
Yeah.
But even when you see the rappers, they keep putting themselves in these bad situations, self-sabotaging, whatever you want to call it.
Wow.
I feel like it's all the same thing. Like, you get that wish, man. You get that thing, and it's not strong enough to bear the weight of your soul. So, I really, really love this song. I love this band. What'd you give it?
It's probably a 9.85 for me.
Holy smokes! I had 9.85 myself
For
as
real?
well. I did. Why?
Well, just the way that it went musically, I enjoyed it. It was very smooth. Also, the topic I think is really good and meaningful, and actually something that I'm going to probably read through later on and think more on.
Yeah.
I also would be interested in seeing that film, even though it's so old.
Stalker. Yeah.
Anyway, there you have it.
There you are, dear listener. And I agree. I vote. Yeah, Chris Cornell would definitely be a example of that for sure. For sure. We got another song coming up for you, dear listener, if you're staying in the stream. If not, we'll see you in regular YouTube land, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Having said that, Vin out!
Sori out!
Gone! Yo, dumb butt. All right, guys, we got one more for you. Check it out. We're going to commercial. We'll be right back. After these messages, we'll be right back. I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord,
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
and they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch.
Oh, here we are.
Where is that coming from?
Welcome to the chaos, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Vin and Sori stream. Did they hear that or just
Where is this coming from?
Oh, it's still happening. Yeah.
Okay, we stopped that one.
Babe,
Now
what's happening?
we can hear about this lady's email addresses.
Oh my goodness. Lord, hello.
Hello, dear listener.
So, buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed, and child shall lead them.
We are at the very end of our Music in the Arts Festival.
Yes. It's a festival, you bitches.
Yep. The last song on the list is Cauldron Brood.
Caladan. I'm pretty sure
Caladan?
it's Caladan Brew.
Yeah. That was...
Wild Autumn Wind, Malazan,
Yep,
Book
here you go.
of the Fallen. Go ahead and read the people the thingamajiggy.
This was the True Cult's winner of the Cross Alliance Music in the Arts tournament. The song is inspired by the epic fantasy series Malazan Book of the Fallen by author Steven Erikson. The series depicts a period of turmoil in the history of the Malazan Empire and the other nations that share its world, such as Lether. The series incorporates a vast number of characters, human, immortal, and non-human, storylines, subplots, themes, and locations. Unlike most fantasy series, which depict one large story divided into lesser volumes, the Malaysian sequence mostly consists of single novels with their own self-contained storylines, with only subplots and some characters continuing between volumes. The closest thing to a main storyline in the book follows the machinations of an alien deity called the Crippled God, which has been imprisoned upon the Malaysian world and seeks to escape. What? Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting.
Thank you for that.
I would not
Kel.
want to watch a show series like that. I like keeping characters.
See, I was going to say the exact opposite. I was going to say they need to make a show series about that.
No, because then you're going to lose the little characters.
Well, no, there's subplots. There's some repeating characters.
Some.
But I think you engage with the character more if you know that he's gonna be gone.
Yeah, you might be right.
Anyway,
Let's go.
the time has arrived. Let's listen to it. Let's go. Caladan Brood, Wild Autumn Wind. Let's go.
Facts. Facts.
Incredible.
This song is the chilliest song of all time. There are like literally 9 times when I got like super chilly. Like,
really?
Like a cold. For the solo was crazy. The solo was Kirk Hammett Fade to Black crazy. The last 3.5 minutes of this song, bro, people had their opinions about the vocalist. And I'm not going to say you're dumb. It's an opinion. Like, I get it. It's an opinion. But at the same time, this is like they're a black metal band, right? I mean,
yeah, right.
You know, it's gonna sound like Cookie Monster, Smeagol, whatever you want to say. But the juxtaposition at the end, you know, as Kel pointed out, between the clean and the dirty vocals was insane. Yep. And you know, here's a sports analogy. Like, you do a lot of running plays because you're setting up a play action. Mm-hmm. You can't just do play action.
Right.
You can't just do a play action without the running play. A play action's a fake handoff and then you throw the ball. Like, you gotta set stuff up sometimes, especially if you're making a 13-minute song. Like, the whole thing was a setup.
Yep.
And then the second half was basically the byproduct of the first half of the setup, which then exploded into the ridiculousness that you heard at the end. Is that the last song on that track? I always check. It's the third song. It's like halfway through the record. How the hell
in the middle,
are you going to follow that shit?
I don't know. It must be pretty smooth going all the way through. It's funny because at the beginning of the song, I was thinking, oh, they needed some female vocals in here. But then by the end, when they had the clean and the dirty, it was great.
Yeah. Like, and again, like, there's nothing wrong. Like, if you don't like Smeagol type vocals, I get it. But for me, what I was seeing was there was a setup. They were setting us up for the second half of the song. Yeah. And they pulled that shit off incredibly, Lynn. Like,
Kel said there's only 2 people in this band.
Yeah. Like, I'm watching the comments, and somebody's like, yo, it's the best fantasy series I've ever read. And it wasn't just Kel saying that. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't even think the guy that said that is even in their alliance. But like, it it makes me want to like go to Amazon and say, hey, can you make a video series about this shit? Like, and then this would have.
Oh, this would be a soundtrack in it. That'd be cool.
You would have to have this as a soundtrack, right? Because nothing else that you do is gonna come even close to what these guys just pulled off here. And like sonically, like lyrically, it was very ambitious. You're talking big things, kingdoms will rise and fall, like very big themes, and the music worked with that theme.
Totally, I agree with that.
Like, man, I mean, we're gonna get to lyrics in a second. I mean, this is about, I'm assuming, the crippled god, and he's trying to escape and shit, or maybe he's just giving his philosophy about you know how the world works or whatever. But for me,
remember they said in their write up that it was about him getting trapped and him wanting to be set free, or him wanting to escape.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
What?
Yeah, is this? I mean, I guess the song's about that. It was the last couple sentences. The closest thing to a main storyline in the book follows the machinations of
an alien deity
called the crippled god, which has been imprisoned upon the Malazan or whatever world and seeks to escape. So he's trying to get out of this world, but simultaneous to that, he's kind of giving his philosophy, right? The bones of beasts, the bones of kin become dust in the wake of the hymn. Mighty kingdoms rise, they'll all fall, no more than a breath of the wind. Spectres and gods adrift in the wild. Yeah. Mournful wind, vast cycles unfold across the span of eons. Colossal keeps consumed and left as burial mounds, and even stars will fade into Empyrean shrouds. Yeah, I mean,
very encouraging.
I mean, it's all in that universe anyway, going into heat death at some point, right? Like it's all gonna, like, you know.
Remember that Sandman book you were reading?
Yeah.
Remember he was like trapped in that thing, but he kind of had like godlike.
Yeah.
And he was kind of messed up too.
He didn't have his helmet. The girl took his helmet. He's the dream guy.
Yeah, but he kind of messed up somehow.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, that kind of.
Yeah, he was trapped. The guy was trapped. They're actually making a video series about Sandman.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Which is going to be very interesting. Although some of the episodes I'm not going to I'm not going to watch.
Why aren't you sad?
No, some of them are pretty. The author is like crazy risky, but you know he does stuff, and anyway, I'll talk to you about it later. You know, stuff, kids involved and stuff. So.
Oh God.
But yeah, if you just scroll up like that, you know, across the plains comes
drifts of sand from graves of water and tombs of man. The hollow weight of history.
Desiccated and blowing free. And in the wake, all is dust. Like, this is probably like the most nihilistic song of the night, but it was also the most beautiful.
They always seem to do that.
which to me is like the number one argument against ultimate nihilism. I know. Is the beauty of the music these people create.
I know. Oh,
but this is truly beautiful music, man. This is, again, like, why is this not on Christian radio? Number one, we don't have the concentration to hang out in a song for 13 minutes.
And they said gods adrift in the wild.
The Bible talks about gods too.
Yeah, but Christians don't talk about that.
Psalm 82. Our song mentions gods.
Yes, but are we typical? We curse on the channel. We always say we're not perfect Christians.
Yeah, I'm a bad Christian.
So, I mean, you can't use us. Don't use us as your example.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
In ashen vaults on parchment scrolls, the echoed verses state soft the toll.
That was one of the things for Lord of the Rings for me that I just loved. I love the like almost like quasi Elizabethan.
Oh, me too.
Language.
I'm always going to be a fan of that.
It's so poetic.
Yeah.
And I wonder to myself, like, man, those people just talk like that on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, like French is a romance language. It's like, yo, my God, you talk like that all day?
One time we were arguing, and I thought, man, I wonder what would happen if he spoke to me in how do you say it? Elizabethan? What?
Elizabethan, yeah.
Yeah, English. While we were having a disagreement, if it would change the nature of the disagreement.
It probably would.
Yeah.
It probably would.
Yeah.
It probably would.
Anyway.
So this guy's trapped. So maybe it's this alien, the crippled god, like he's trapped. So he
wants to get out.
He has to see all of the cyclical
rise
and fall of all these, you know, powers and whatever.
Yeah, temples crumble as the great wheel turns, ground to dust.
The wheel of time,
monuments,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like
everything falls the same.
He's got to sit there. He's got to sit there and watch it.
Earth and sky enrobed in deathless void.
Yeah.
Endless night.
Yeah.
But didn't you think it was so beautiful when it said, it talked about fall. Well, it talked about autumn, but...
Command F it and just type fall.
I don't know if it was autumn or if it was fall. Oh, whoops. That's not Command F.
Autumn or fall? Worm of autumn.
It's in there twice. Excellent. That's probably going to be.
He said, the worm of autumn claims its...
Oh, and it's in the title.
Did you see it?
No. Is that it claims its final what? Yes.
Its final throne.
I guess that was it.
Claims its final throne.
But I didn't hear worm of. I
winter.
only heard autumn claims its final throne. And it just reminded me of the last... This doesn't apply for every state, but it applies here. When fall is at its peak, there is one final day when it is the most glorious colors you've ever seen.
Facts.
And then the next day,
Facts.
They've lost a lot of their leaves, they've browned, they're just
literally,
and you don't know when that last day is.
No, you don't.
So you're always looking, every day I'm looking at them and I'm like, oh, maybe this is the last day. Oh, this is gorgeous. Or maybe it'll be even sweeter tomorrow. And then the next day it could be even brighter. And then eventually it's the last day. But I have never known it was the last day on the last day.
Yeah. Yeah. And that I interpreted the worm of autumn as to be winter. Because a worm is something that goes in there and spoils something. Mm-hmm. Because autumn is usually known as the most beautiful.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Time in the cycle.
And, the autumn is?
Yeah. It's just the leaves and at least up here in the Northeast for sure. Autumn and then the beginning of spring. But autumn is just aesthetically, it's massively beautiful.
It really is.
If you go to
Bates,
Bates College.
Beautiful.
And you get all those trees,
giant oak trees.
Yeah, and they're changing, and you got the grass, but the snow hasn't completely, so you still get the green.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
It's massively, but there's a worm inside of that because it's changing it to winter, and it's all death, and the trees are all falling, and it's weird because you have evergreen trees, mm-hmm. which have they're obviously metaphorical import about staying power and there's a beauty in that, but those evergreens can't fuck with those.
No, they can't.
Not even close, man.
They can't. But I always thought it was just something I always thought when I was a child. I thought, those evergreens, they don't get any traction during the summertime. We have no interest in them. We're just loving the oak trees. But then in the winter, when the snow falls on them and they've kept their shape and they're all full of snow, and then you have the Christmas tree, they get their time. They get their time to shine. But yeah, during the summertime, you're just like, what are these?
Yeah. But you know what Jesus said, don't worry about what you'll wear, mm-hmm. and he says, Solomon in all his glory. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Solomon in all his glory wasn't dressed as brilliantly as the lilies of the field or whatever. Yep. And it's that's kind of, look at this shit. This is autumn in Maine, y'all.
This is a very typical site right here too. I'm gonna
it's real. It's not one of those rare things that Sori looks at or whatever.
That Sori looks at.
You know how you always have these autumn pictures and they're really cool or whatever, but they look almost mythical because they're so. But these are
mm-hmm.
these are legit what it looks like.
Put this one up there too. This is That's the look. I've seen this so many times in Maine.
That's just a normal walk in the autumn right there.
Yep.
That's just normal.
It's it's all burnt.
It's such
in a beautiful way.
Yeah. It's such a crazy... Autumn is, makes you think about you a lot, for sure.
Me?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'd love to know why.
I'll probably never tell you.
I'll tell you something about yourself in regards to autumn. I have always hated autumn because it was so depressing to me. Fall depressed me, and going into winter was just super depressing. It's just so long in the winter. here. But I enjoy the fall. I love the fall now. The colors of the fall, I enjoy it more now that you and I are together. Which is interesting because fall kind of brings on your depression. But still, there's something about fall that, I don't know.
Yeah, it's
I'm
a
able to
double-edged
appreciate
sword.
it now.
It's a double-edged sword to a degree, but it's one of the more beautiful things. For sure.
Absolutely.
And it's so funny looking at Kel. Look what he said. Make sure Dorian doesn't see this. It's a running debate that we've been having in the house.
Yep.
About, Florida versus, Maine and all that. But yeah, it's like the cycle of life. But that last part, man, with where they were singing, that shit was
beautiful.
That shit was
going back and forth like that.
Believable. Unbelievable song, man. And, it had the atmospherics. It had everything in it, man. It was epic. What do you give the song?
It's a 9.87.
This is a 10.5 for me. It's a 10.5 for me.
It's a heavy hitter night for you.
Really, 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 really good song. Really good song.
Yes, thank you to the True Cult for bringing this to our attention.
Yeah, and shout out to the big homie Kel. You can always rely on Kel, though. Kel always. I don't think there's ever been a time when Kel's ever recommended something that wasn't like
really good. Yeah.
Like classic good.
Yeah.
No disrespect to anybody else. Shout out to Kel. But such a damn good song. This song's an 11 for Kel, for sure.
Oh yeah, sure.
10.5 for me. I mean, it's unbelievable song. There you are, dear listener.
Thanks for hanging out with us, you guys.
Thanks for hanging out with us, you guys were great.
Taking part in the Music in the Arts tournament.
Yes, there you are, dear
and
listener.
for all of you who participated in it, all of our patrons who took part in the long process of dwindling it down to the finalists.
Yeah.
We appreciate your patience and your work on that, and we definitely appreciated it. When can you just throw that thing up on there from the messengers? Go in messages. This thing, put that up there.
Yeah.
This is a breakdown of what they did to get these songs and how it journeyed its way through. Just absolutely incredible. You can tell that they put a ton of time and thought into it.
Yeah.
And it does not go unnoticed or unappreciated. We really thought that was pretty amazing. I for one was amazed that we have such a cool crew. Our channel, has brought a lot of awesome people out of the woodwork and into the public eye so we can all talk to each other.
Yeah.
And seeing stuff like this is like, holy shit, like some people got together and nobody paid them to do this, and they got this list, they made this list, they worked it out, and they came in and they worked together as a team. And I just think that that's unbelievable that people who have never met each other are working together and stuff. And, part of that is like, because it's our channel, which is really cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
shout out to our channel.
So shout out to
big ups to the big homie. And
shout out to all of us.
All of them. And I know it went 3 hours for only 4 songs. I get it. But at the same time, I also respect the amount of time it took for them to do what they did.
Exactly.
And so
exactly.
to me, it's like people have put up with our long-winded whatever's reviews for years, and and then they come with this really crazy and what is it at the end of the day? It's like you're trying to share music, something important to you inside your soul, or whatever you want to call it, whatever worldview we're from, and you want your friends to hear it, and then the community as a whole to hear it. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's interesting too. What do you guys call it? A death song, or the death to the artist death song?
Yeah, the death of the author.
The death of the author. Yeah, it's interesting because I'm sure there's been times where we've been all sharing music together, and that from that a song became like a death to the author song.
Murdered
you know what I
many
mean?
a guitarist.
Yeah, exactly. But then we all participated in the same kind of understanding or interpretation of the lyrics together. So it kind of makes us even more of a crew.
Death of the Author is obviously a name for one of the songs of our
absolutely.
in our band.
Absolutely.
Show. Shout out to Kel. Shout out to Archero.
It was snowing today in Maine.
Much love to all you beautiful people,
it.
all you alliance leaders. We will see you bums tomorrow.
Yes.
on YouTube hasn't shut us down yet, so we're in pretty good shape. That last copyright strike is gonna fall off in another 30 days, inshallah. So we can continue to go 30 days and dodge those bullets. I'll be eternally grateful.
We do.
Having said that, dear listener, love your neighbor, take care of each other, listen to good music, and look at the fall leaves. Vin